Narcissism is a popular topic in contemporary literature, and its popularity can obscure our understanding of how dangerous it is in real life. Narcissistic abuse is widespread, with far-reaching consequences that are devastating to victims. Chronic exposure to this type of manipulation and victimization can, in fact, be considered trauma. When narcissistic relationships are unavoidable, a narcissist seeks to exert control over their victim's actions, feelings, and thoughts, and the longer the abuse continues, the more ingrained that control becomes. Learning effective ways to communicate with a narcissist can be life-saving for those who are trapped in narcissistic relationships with no way out, in addition to helping victims regain some control and work toward empowerment, instead of persecution. The safest way to communicate with a narcissist is to stop all correspondence. Because true narcissism is a lifelong problem that cannot always be cured, avoiding all interactions is the most genuine safeguard victims can use. However, for many people, this is unrealistic at best, and in many cases impossible. Techniques for communicating in narcissistic relationships. Because narcissism thrives on intimacy, it's difficult to truly walk away from it once it's recognized and understood. When communication cannot be completely cut off, victims can employ a number of techniques to make the situation more bearable. Self-insulation. Because narcissists thrive on pushing buttons and using insider knowledge to gain control over others, learning how to protect yourself from their attacks is critical. Growing a thick emotional shield is a protective factor that can eventually take some of the power away from the arrows aimed at you by narcissists. Spend time analyzing your inner thoughts, focusing on and overcoming your fears and anxieties. Be fearless with yourself. Self-exploration is a safe place to dig into and fully understand your triggers. Equip yourself with knowledge about what makes you tick, and which buttons, when pressed, really seem to hit home. You can lessen the impact of attacks by becoming more aware of your potential weak points. Learn how to respond without responding. Narcissists require a reaction in order to obtain the satisfaction and control they seek. You will gain valuable peace of mind by learning which situations require a response and which can be safely ignored. This technique necessitates some trial and error to investigate and comprehend the circumstances that will resolve without your direct intervention. Experiment with not responding in various situations and pay close attention to the results, keeping careful track of the conditions that can be handled by sitting back and waiting. Allow yourself to not respond to every text, phone call, challenge, or plea. Recognize that boundaries are reasonable, despite how your narcissist has conditioned you to believe otherwise. Mastering the art of not responding will alleviate a lot of the emotional turmoil that comes with dealing with a narcissist. Don't believe everything you hear. Narcissists are expert manipulators, capable of swaying almost anyone in their favor, in the short term. However, as others become acquainted with their methods, their influence begins to wane. If you're stuck in a narcissistic relationship that doesn't seem to end, chances are you can tell the truth from the lies. A narcissist's currency is trust, and they spend it with little regard for the consequences of losing it all. Victims must learn to protect their trust at all costs, and one place to start is to stop believing most of what a narcissist says. Don't be taken in by the flattery, threats, and tricks used to gain your trust. Be cautious from the start, separating the threads of truth from the useless information they will feed you. Recognizing that the majority of their communication is deceptive will be an invaluable tool in protecting your trust. Obtain a second opinion. Because of the intimate nature of narcissistic abuse, victims should always seek a second opinion before responding to their abuser. Narcissists will pressure you to respond quickly in order to throw you off guard and increase the likelihood that you will give them the impulsive response they seek. They will use a variety of tactics to induce haste on your part, ranging from threats to cajoling to love bombing. Learning to pause and consider potential responses, and their outcomes, with a trusted mentor or friend, will almost always improve your results, and will assist you in reducing those knee-jerk reactions that only add to the conflict and trouble. Stop attempting to influence them. Genuine narcissism is a chronic condition that has the potential to ruin relationships. Because it develops in the context of relationships, many people will feel compelled to positively influence and change their abusive partner in order to save the relationship. Unfortunately, narcissism is not always curable, and attempting to fix it in intimate relationships is usually a waste of time and energy. Dropping the expectation that narcissistic patterns and manipulation can be solved is liberating, and will enable victims to reclaim some of the control that has been taken away from them. Narcissism is a long-term problem, and victims may suffer significant harm as a result of chronic exposure to it. However, the impact of abuse can be lessened by making a few minor adjustments, and learning how to navigate manipulative interactions without falling victim to an abuser's tricks. Victims of narcissistic relationships must use whatever tools they have available to them.